Some people also saying fake stories that we've said the target is 666. We do mess around intentionally in mockery of the Satanists, often with sexy numbers, but actually the number we said was 333. It's our target of 330. And we explained that we've got a little bit more on our second interim here. We had to do a data adjustment. So this is a quarterly silver chart. And this particular high is not accurate, that there actually was a 50 trade in the period of the Hunt brothers, no relation, back in the period of 79. So that should be a little bit higher. That would make this high actually lower than that one. But we actually have to ignore one of the candles to make the pattern work. So we are fudging and reducing our second interim's level. And what second interim means and what having a method and a process means, this is going to be quite fundamental to people understanding what it is you need to do to be a winner in trading. And we are not, this is a laptop, there's no other screens here, there's just a single screen, and I move around all the time. We are not day traders, we are not news responders. I'm not sitting with a Bloomberg here saying, so-and-so just said this, and quick, short that, long that, boom, 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 boom. Not interested in that lifestyle. I don't even think it's productive for the average man. And by the way, Goldman Sachs has golden chords. That means their algorithms get to that news nanoseconds before then, assuming they weren't already aware of it, which given the cacocracy of the current system and the Trump family and the pumpermentals on cryptos and all the other scams involving Saudis, involving Justin Sun, involving Tron freezing the CBDC, stable coins, all of this stuff we've all predicted for you that is coming. You have a complete cacocracy of the ruling class, no rule of law for them, and an absolute draconian totalitarianism coming for you, where they can confiscate your crypto for having too much. South Africa wants new rules that if you have too much crypto, they will actually confiscate it, believe it or not. Yes, I tweeted that under the Market Sniper. You can go have a look. Not specific to today's discussion, so I'll rather get on with that. So the silver discussion. Here it is. And by the way, this was a seed setup that one of our community members was given to do the setup. And this is inside the sniper circle. And this was done sketch level. And you can see the larger structure. This is all before it broke. We do the calls before. We do the calls before. You learn the process and you do the setups and you draw it for yourself, and we help you to make sure you're doing it correctly. This that looks messy, it's actually the draw. It's actually the draw. Yes, it means something to everybody that's in there. That is a primer squeeze inside a much bigger squeeze, a small squeeze within a far larger squeeze. That is how you multiply your way to wealth, when you can use a small amount of leverage and get yourself a very, very tight stop in what could be an expansive move. And these opportunities are rare, and we are usually around when they're going down, and everybody else isn't. And in fact, I call it the Brent Johnson silver call. At that very point at $26, he was saying, there they go, they're going to lose their head. We called 660 on the silver chart. We never called $666 ever. We called 333. We called 330. And then they say, well, I asked Grok and he said that. Well, actually, if you ask Grok, which I went and did, what targets has the Market Sniper given on silver? The first thing you will see is the 330 and 333 reason. Now, by the way, Grok isn't the place to find out what the Market Sniper says. Follow the Market Sniper and hear what he says. Hear what he says directly. It's kind of logical. Watch the content. Don't ask Grok. I've sometimes asked Grok a question on different occasions, and it's given slightly different slants of the answer. For example, the gold-silver ratio here, we have said persistently. So let's make it absolutely clear of all the levels we have spoken of. $330, which we've also referred to as 333 because of the wiggle number due to that adjustment on our macro HVF, which allows us to say it's easy to remember all the threes. We taunt those that have their gematria and all their evilness. We are not promoting it. The single-digit gold-silver ratio is the final point at which we will sell silver, and it isn't a dollar price because it's contingent on what gold is. If gold is $25,000 And, the minute you drop below 10, 9.99, we're ready to sell our silver. That would mean $2,500 silver. If gold is $8,000 and we hit 9.99 on the gold silver ratio, that will be 800 silver. It will be wherever it will be because there's more variables and contingent on it. So the dollar value where we will remove some silver, expecting a pause and churn period, which will bring us back to the second interim discussion in a moment, is yet to happen. Now, these people that talk smack about us and don't understand and try deride us have no methodology of their own. They'll throw out numbers that they'll suck off their thumb, which has been in some darker part of their anatomy, and they have no real knowing. These are method-free people. It's the Max Kaiser school of Bitcoin will be $250,000 at the end of the year or $1 million. Just throw out a FOMO. And they accuse people like us of hype and overbullying. We have an absolute methodology, which is 100% defined, and we've been clear about it before this even began.
How much the deficit was in any given year. Just look at the national debt when the year started and look at the national debt when the year ended. If the national debt rose by $3 trillion, but the government says the budget deficit was $2 trillion, it's a lie. Because there's $3 trillion more debt now than there was when the year started. So if you added $3 trillion in additional debt that you didn't have, right? Well, you must have run up $3 trillion in new debt. Otherwise, the debt wouldn't go up by that. But they have all these expenditures that they don't count because they say, well, they're non-recurring, except they happen every year. And it may not be the same thing like disaster relief, right? That's non-recurring. Oh, yeah, well, we're not going to have that particular disaster every year. Yes, but every year there are going to be disasters. And if every year you just don't count the spending, it wasn't specifically budgeted, but you know it's going to happen. Every year it happens. And there's all kinds of things that they don't count because they say they're not, we don't officially include it as a line item of expenditure, but it just happens. So the whole thing is dishonest, but the deficit is soaring, and the war is going to make it worse. And Trump has said he wants to increase military spending by 50%. Right? He wants to take the budget up to 1.5 trillion. I remember when his Secretary of the Treasury, right, was asked on national television, Meet the Press, how are you going to pay for this? Are you going to raise taxes? He laughed it off. And then said, what a stupid question. Of course, we're not going to raise taxes, right? We're just going to borrow the money. We're going to print the money. We're going to have more inflation. And that's why gold's going up. War is good for gold because war means inflation. And you get into a war, you never know where it's going to take you. It always goes to places that you never intended, right? The war is already taking on a whole new dimension. God knows how long we're going to be there.
A macro setup such as the silver trade, which is on a very big time frame, a quarterly time frame. Each candle is 3 months. I know for sure when we run the second interim, I do not have the patience to sit through drawdowns for days, weeks, and weeks on end. And that is exactly what's happened. So we undertook to close leverage trades. Leverage long trades. So you're talking about a group of people that got leveraged way before the cup and handle guys that only started to notice at 50 were saying, hey, it's looking optimistic. It's coming. Way before the cup and handle guys on a macro HVF with a primer squeeze at 25.9 and a stop right there at 21.92, virtually $22, literally $3 that have been net leverage long, with mostly winning quarterly months, 1, 2, 1 loss quarter, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candles closure at the interim of leverage as things started to get skatey. That we did. You can accept it or not. I'll play you the video of the ad hoc that we provided to our community that you didn't get because you didn't invest in yourself. You just took the freebie on the YouTube, and you're welcome and entitled to do it. And we're glad to have you there too. There are layers to this. There are 100% layers to it. To those that said, we never said get square and got out. So you first have to even understand the argument. The argument is, first of all, you should have a triangle. No, we're not trying to be Jay-Z and New World Order or signal anything. A triangle that shows you blue pot, blue pot. You should have preferably 3 units of blue pot. And then you can have lukewarm, light leverage. This is how you should structure. That is investment. Investment is blue pot. That means you actually hold and own the silver. We never sold our silver, and we don't intend to until the macro target is made. This is lukewarm pot. This level is lukewarm pot. If you have 3 units,